Okay, so here we have a whole bunch of fireweed in bloom. This is an amazing herb. So here's some ideas on how to use it. These pink flower heads can be used to make an anti-diarrheal medicine. I can provide that recipe later on, but just kind of giving the quick overview. The entire plant, actually, even the green leaves, can be used for diarrheal medicine, but the flowers make a particularly delicious syrup that you can use. The leaves, something that I just found out last year, that the leaves are actually the traditional ingredient in chai. Rather than using tea leaves, original chai uses the leaves from fireweed. So that's something that I hope to be doing this year. These stems are also very, very fibrous. So you can take these stems and you can separate out the fibers, and they make really good string and rope, different types of cordage. And as you can see from all the pollinators buzzing around, this is definitely a favorite to have as a border in your garden, even if you were not going to use it for the various medicinal uses and craft uses. It attracts pollinators. The reason that the flowers and the leaves are really good for diarrhea is because they're very astringent. And astringent means that there are acidic properties in this plant that will draw tissue together. So when you have loose bowels and you take a tea that is made of this plant matter, then it actually pulls together or tightens the intestinal lining, which then slows the diarrhea. But now imagine that if you also had ulcers in your gut or any other inflammatory condition in your gut, these leaves, this herb is going to help you with any kind of a gut inflammation. So this is an excellent one to know. The majority of Americans have leaky gut syndrome or different versions of inflamed bowels. And fireweed is one of the perfect herbs to use for treating inflamed bowels. It's ecologically, it's really important as a fire successor, which is why they call it fireweed. It's usually one of the first as well as most showy responses in nature after fire has cleaned out an area. Usually the next year you'll see a lot of fireweed blanketing an area. Right now we are in the fire scar of the 1987 Silver Creek fire, as well as there was another fire that came through this area in 2012. So there's a lot of fireweed that grows in this old fire scar, and pretty soon as the brush grows in and as the country just fills in general, the fireweed will be suppressed, and then you'll see very little fireweed until the next fire comes through. And then all the seeds that were dropped from this fireweed will then have open ground to grow again and start recolonizing. So that is fireweed. Oh, Latin, Epilobium something or other.